Have you ever wondered which note-taking method is the most effective for retaining information? Let's dive into this fascinating question by examining a research study conducted by Princeton University in 2014. In this experiment, a class was split into two distinct groups. The first group was instructed to take notes using traditional pen and paper, while the second group utilized laptops and other digital devices. Now you might be wondering, how did the students react to these instructions? Well, the first group's reaction was filled with groans and complaints. The challenges of manual note-taking, such as time consumption, physical discomfort, and substantial cognitive effort, were clearly not lost on them. On the other side of the room, the digital group was all smiles. They found the typing method to be efficient, user-friendly, and less physically demanding. As a result, they were able to record twice as many notes as their pen and paper counterparts. It seemed like a clear victory for the digital method, right? However, the researchers were not primarily interested in the quantity of notes taken, but rather in which method would facilitate better information retention among the students. The ultimate goal of note-taking, after all, is not to produce a verbatim transcript of a lecture or meeting, but to encode information in a way that makes it easier to remember and understand later on. So, with these two groups taking notes in their respective ways, and their initial reactions so vastly different, it set the stage for a fascinating comparison. The question remained, would the convenience and efficiency of digital note-taking translate into better information retention? Or despite the challenges, would the traditional pen and paper method prove to be superior? Now, given these initial reactions, which group do you think performed better? As we delve deeper into this intriguing study, you might just find the results surprising. Stay tuned as we unravel the mystery of the most effective approach to note-taking. If you thought the digital note-takers had the upper hand, you might want to reconsider. The results of the Princeton study were indeed surprising, and they might well challenge our preconceived notions about note-taking. At first glance, it seemed the digital group had the advantage. They found their method efficient, user-friendly, and less physically demanding. They were able to record twice as many notes as their counterparts who were scribbling away with pen and paper. Yet, when the researchers assessed the students' grasp of the lecture material, the tables were turned. By the end of the semester, the pen and paper note-takers had outperformed their digitally inclined classmates. They scored twice as well on the exams. And this wasn't a one-off. The researchers replicated the study twice more, each time finding the same result. The students using traditional note-taking methods consistently outperformed those who had opted for digital devices, both immediately after the class and a week later with a surprise test. These findings might seem counterintuitive. Digital note-taking allows you to record more information more quickly. Yet, as the study showed, quantity doesn't necessarily equate to quality when it comes to learning. The students who took notes by hand were not just passively recording the lecturer's words. They were actively processing the information, deciding what was important, and translating it into their own words. This cognitive effort, this engagement with the material, was key to their superior performance. It seems that the physical act of writing, the very factors that make it more challenging, the time it consumes, the effort it requires, are what make it more effective for learning. So, the next time you're faced with a lecture or a book, you might want to put down your laptop or tablet and pick up a pen instead. The extra effort could well be worth it. The traditional method of note-taking, time-consuming and effortful as it may be, seems to have an edge when it comes to deep learning and long-term information retention. This clearly indicates that there's more to effective note-taking than meets the eye. This brings us to a fascinating discovery from this research, the effort principle. It's a concept that may seem counterintuitive in our fast-paced, efficiency-driven world. Yet, its implications are profound and far-reaching, especially when it comes to learning and retaining information. The effort principle suggests that the more time and energy you invest in recording information, the greater the chances of you remembering it accurately over extended periods. It's not just about jotting down facts and figures, but about the cognitive effort involved in the process. The mental gymnastics of summarizing, paraphrasing, and organizing thoughts on paper seem to create a deeper imprint on our memory. This principle seems to defy the digital age's mantra of faster, easier, and more efficient. Yet, the Princeton study demonstrated that when it comes to note-taking, the old-fashioned pen and paper method, which requires more effort, led to better retention and understanding. But why does this happen? It's because when we write by hand, we engage in what psychologists call deep processing. This involves a higher level of cognitive engagement and mental effort, leading to better comprehension and recall. On the other hand, typing notes on a laptop tends to be more about transcribing verbatim, which requires less mental engagement and therefore leads to lower retention. Now let's consider how the effort principle applies to the realm of self-improvement. In this domain, we're often bombarded with a deluge of information from books, podcasts, articles, and videos. The challenge is not just to consume this information, but to retain and internalize it. Here, the effort principle gives us a valuable insight. The harder we work to record and process this information, the more we're likely to remember and apply it. So whether you're learning a new language, mastering a skill, or simply trying to remember important points from a book or a lecture, remember the effort principle. The more effort you put into taking notes, the deeper your understanding, and the longer you'll retain the information. In other words, the harder you work to record information, the better you'll remember it. As an audiobook enthusiast, I found that passive listening wasn't enough. You see, while audiobooks provide a convenient and entertaining way to absorb new information, especially during commutes or routine tasks, I realized that I wasn't retaining as much as I wanted. So I decided to experiment with a mini habit, a small but consistent change to my listening routine. I began to take notes while listening to my audiobooks. At first, it was a bit challenging, juggling the physical act of writing with the mental process of processing the spoken information felt a bit like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. But, as with any new skill, the more I practiced, the easier it became. And the benefits? They were astonishing. My comprehension and recall of the material improved dramatically. I found myself able to recall specific details, concepts, and ideas that would have previously slipped through the cracks of my memory. But it wasn't just about better recall. The act of note-taking also made me a more active listener. I found myself engaging more deeply with the material, thinking critically about the author's arguments, and even forming my own ideas and theories. This mini habit didn't just enhance my learning from audiobooks, it spilled over into other areas of my life as well. In meetings, I found myself capturing key points more effectively. While reading articles online, I would jot down intriguing ideas or facts. Even during casual conversations, I'd find myself mentally noting interesting points for later reflection. As with any habit, consistency is key. Even a few minutes of note-taking can make a profound difference over time. And don't worry about writing down every single word. The goal is to capture the essence of what you're hearing in your own words. This not only reinforces the information, but also makes it more personally meaningful. Ultimately, the method of note-taking you choose can significantly impact your learning process. So why not give this mini habit a try? You might just find it to be a game changer in your journey of lifelong learning. So, what's the bottom line here? We've journeyed through the fascinating world of note-taking, exploring an intriguing study that pitted traditional pen and paper against digital devices. The result? A surprising victory for the humble pen and paper, with these note-takers scoring twice as well as their digitally equipped counterparts. This experiment, conducted by Princeton University in 2014, has shed light on the effort principle. The idea that the more time and energy you invest in recording information, the better your chances of remembering it. It's not just about scribbling down words, but about truly engaging with the material. The act of writing, it seems, forces us to process information more deeply, enhancing our understanding and retention. The implications of these findings are far-reaching. In our fast-paced digital age, we're often tempted to seek out the quickest, most efficient methods. But when it comes to learning and self-improvement, it appears that slower might actually be better. This doesn't mean we should abandon our laptops and tablets completely, but rather, we should be mindful of when and how we use them. So, why not give it a try? Experiment with your note-taking methods. If you're used to typing, try switching to pen and paper for a while. Or if you're already a pen and paper note-taker, try different techniques like summarizing, paraphrasing, or drawing diagrams. The key is to actively engage with the material, rather than passively recording it. And remember, it's not just about taking notes during lectures or meetings. This can also apply to your personal self-improvement journey. Whether you're reading a book, listening to a podcast, or watching a video, try taking notes and see if it helps you retain and apply the information better. Remember, when it comes to note-taking, it's not about being the fastest, but about being the most effective. The value of note-taking lies not in the amount of information you record, but in your understanding and retention of that information. So go ahead, pick up that pen and let's start writing.